What can I do for you, friend? Oh, ho, ho. Don't think I told you this one yet. I've been telling tales about the Ford family for years. I tell you, nothing about them surprises me no more. Like old Commander Ford, one who used to run this here ward. She was the youngest of the family. She's the one what brought most of this town together. They say she's dead and buried, but they don't know the truth of it. See, the old commander were the youngest, but she ain't the last. Old Ford, her grandpa, is still kicking here in town. Crazy old man went and fought the Deadwood head-on and lived. Her grandmother was half Root herself. Folks used to call her the Root Mother. And oh, she were a twisted one, let me tell you. The thing about the Fords is, they can't die. Not a single damn one of them. I mean, look, they all thought old Ford had died long ago, and there he is, plain as day. I don't care what anyone says. I swear to you on my unborn brother's life, the other Fords are still out there somewhere, too. Stop me if I told you this one already. I do miss the days when you could find the stuff the old world used to make. Canned foods, spiced chocolates, electronical music boxes. Oh, found this old can of what's-it once. As in, we literally did not know what was in it. The can weren't open, but the label had long rubbed off. Finding that was like all our birthdays at the same time. That can must have been 100 years old, banged up and bloated. Could have been anything in there. So, my boys did what any good family would do. They dared me to drink it. Well, I ain't one to back down from something stupid. So, I grabbed the can and said something sensually flattering about their mamas. Then, I popped the top. Woohoo! Damn stuff hissed and fizzled like some kind of brown sludge demon. Smelled like one, too. I chugged the whole damn thing. The thick goop tasted like scented sewer water. Burned my brain like a chili pepper. I nearly puked with each swallow, but I weren't gonna give them the satisfaction. When I threw the can aside, the boys cheered. I opened my mouth, flashed them a smug smile, and my teeth was all stained the darkest mud brown you ever seen. They stayed that way for at least a month. And that's where I got my name. This one's, 100% true. I ever tell you about the Shrouded King? No, it ain't a book. It's real, I tell you. Real as every damn story I know. He's the king of another world, see? And his world was overrun by the Root just like ours. Or at least it was gonna be. The Shrouded King, he got his people together to draw as much power as he could from his own ding-dang-dingity son. Used it to make himself a weapon. Soon as the Root showed up, he fired the damn thing. Now the king, he knew what was about to happen, but he didn't tell nobody. That weapon weren't just gonna scorch the Root. No, it scorched the whole dim darn dingity world. Burned the Deadwood the hell out of there. Killed half his kingdom and twisted the other half into something unrecognizable. And that's why he wears a shroud, see? Because he done twisted himself in the process. But he don't want no one to see the mangledy bits of his face parts. Don't think I told you this one yet. You met old Wally yet? The boy ain't right, but not in a mudder way. He ain't right. Talks to the root, he says. I reckon I know why, too. I ain't never told him this, but, I was there at his birth. Don't believe me? You wouldn't be the first, but it's true. That boy Wally was born under a blood moon. Always strange, they say. Harbinger of changeification and whatnot. I heard him cry out his first breath I did, and I says to myself, that ain't natural. Like the squall of some blackbird. Caw! Oh, don't tell him I said it. He wouldn't believe it anyway. Or maybe he would, come to think of it. You talked to him yet? Boy ain't right. Ah, here's a good one. I ever tell you how the world fell in the first place? Well, sit down, friend, 'cause there ain't no one knows what really happened but me. It started in them wards, see? Secret military industrial complexes and whatnot. That's where they made all their weapons and did their experiments. Now, the root, see, it wasn't meant to, weren't meant to. Hey, watch it. So, now, the root weren't meant to reproduce, see? They was built as a weapon, but then they done breeded and got out. Well, we all know what happened after that. Only reason the root stopped was 'cause the Wanderer, well, he flamethrower-sized their queen, see? Over in that tower on the atoll, so's they couldn't breed no more. Now, listen. You might hear Ford tell you something different, but you look at the two of us and ask which has obviously been around longer. Which of us is most like to have been there, huh? You ask yourself that, and then you just look my way, 'cause that's who it is. Town, you call it. Back in my day, a place like this wouldn't be considered... He told me about this. You won't believe this one, but you should. Back when the earth fell, a dragon, a real root dragon, took up residence over there, just like in old fairy tales. It started in them wards, see? Your eyes only hush-hush military conspiracizing farms and whatnot. That's where they made all their weapons and did them experiments. And just like those tales, it took a what now? It took a night to slay this dragon. Oh, but the dragon was crafty, all right. He knew the knight needed help, so the dragon gave it to him. Yep, the dragon took the form of a talking tree and told the knight if they wanted to slay that dragon, they'd have to slay all these other beasts first. A cyclops, a living statue, what do you call them? Golem. Well, the knight slayed them all. But the thing was, these beasts weren't protecting the dragon. They were holding him back. So when the dragon finally did reveal itself, it was too strong for the knight. And it took him, body and mind, and made their strength its own. You're right good listen-tator, friend. Tell you what, though, I'm a little light on the stories right now, but you look like you could use yourself some company. I got just the cure for that. And I ain't talking about my stew this time. Take this and check back with me later. I'm sure I'll have some newly re-remembered stories for you then. Sure can. Well, let's see. You heard about the old wards, right? Hell, you should have. You're on top of one. The wards where the root were born. Government experiments, you understand. Well, the oldest one, Ward Goose Egg it's called, was where it all started. And that's where it was worst, see? So this mad scientist by the name of, let me see now, what was his name? Leto was his name. He says there's only one way we can stop what we made and save the world. So he flies his heliopopper. They flew back in those days, see? That's what they were built for. And he looks down at the ward where the root are pouring out like ants. He says, blow that sucker up. And boy, they did. Blew the whole damn thing. Didn't stop the root, though. I mean, obviously. Stop me if I told you this one already. This city ain't without its own tales. Why, there's a tower, see? What only appears once in a gibbous August moon. Kinda looks like a big yellow-orange pumpkin. Within that tower's a man. Except he's not a man. He's a wizard, see? And he... Yeah, I'm getting to it. And within that tower is a man. Except he's not a man. He's a wizard, see? He calls himself the Keeper, and he controls everything. I've seen him myself. Even talked to him once. Man's smart as hell. So smart, even I can't keep up with him. He says he watches over all of us. But if that's the case, then he ain't been doing such a good job. I mean, look around you. But I reckon he means well. And that tower, I think, is like a spaceship he uses to teleportate to other planets. You go walk the city in a harvest pumpkin moon. You'll see what I mean. Don't think I told you this one yet. So I was on a scrounge with the Crazy Eight. That was my gang back in the day. We came across this old hospital, see? Folks were holed up in the basement, trapped there for God knows how long. But the root had found those folks same time we did. Now the Crazy Eight, they were all for running. We got 88 problems, they'd say, and dead folks ain't one of them. But not me. I knew those folks needed help. Also, knew they had food and meds. So I fought for them, tooth and nail. Literally a-biting and a-chewing the damn deadwood off me. When it was over, the Crazy Eight come up to me, and I just smile at them, with root bits stuck all over my teeth. Looked like mud, they said. There you go, Mud Tooth. Name stuck ever since. Let me see here. Ho! Let me tell you what those folks are up to in that atoll, that Ward 10 and 7. That was where they did their experimenting, see? They made weapons for the USA. That's what this land was called back then. And the root, you see, they were cloned. Yes, sir. They found root D and A trapped in red amber, and they done built themselves an army. But this army, it got out of hand and turned against them. Couldn't tell the difference between the Usanayans and whatever else there was. Pretty good weapon, if you ask me. Nigh on slaughter the whole damn world. Makes you think, though, what else were them Usanayans capable of? Maybe it's for the best they ain't around no more. This is 100% true. You want to know the truth about young Bo over there? To start off with, the boy ain't all that young. I mean, sure, he ain't nothing to old Mudtooth, but ain't a lot of folks around who remember him as a boy no more. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you. Bo Ward, he made a deal with the Wanderer. Don't believe me? It was Bo who met the Wanderer at Old Ward 10 and 3. And it was Bo who took him over to that Ward goose egg, the one where the root started. And he won't admit it, but it was Bo what rescued Clementine and shut the door on the dead wood for good. The boy's more than he tells, and a good deal more than he knows. Why else would folks around here put him in charge of everything? Don't think I told you this one yet. So, I gotten separated from the Crazy Eight, my gang, you see. We've been chased by these big old deadwood, taller than a man with 10 times as many pointy bits. Whew, nasty fellers. The others, they holed up in this old scrap building and slammed the door. Left me for dead. There was no way in, but there were these old pipes underground. Sewage, judging by the stink. But I weren't gonna stay out there with deadwood creeping round, so I held my breath and crawled through what must have been half a mile. I come busting out of the pipes and right into the middle of the Crazy Eight. They were holding me a funeral. I stand up, covered in mud and God knows what else, and just smile at them. And that, friend, is where I got the name Mudtooth. This one's, 100% true. I ever tell you the secret behind my stew? Well, I ain't gonna. But I will tell you how it came to be, yeah? The original recipe comes from my ma, of course. But that ain't the end of the story. My ma made a fine stew, but it weren't nothing to go tell tales about. Not until the day me and the Crazy Eight got ourselves trapped in one of them old, medieval, meditating, My ma made a fine stew, but it weren't nothing to tell tales about. Not until the day me and the Crazy Eight got ourselves trapped in one of them old, medieval, meditating... We was trapped in one of them medicinal compounds, full of pharmaceuticals and whatever you call them. And I had nothing but a dead coney and an onion on my belt, which weren't good for much, but were the style at the time. So, we scrounged for ingredients. Well, them hospitalities ain't no good for food, but they do have some pretty mean spices lying around if you know what you're doing, which I do. That night was the best stew any of us ever had in our lives. Kept us going for days, until finally the dead wood outside got bored and took off. And that, friend, is the same stew I make today. I even use the same ingredients as them back in the day medicinals. Better even. Sure can. Let's see. Ho-ho! You ever wonder what the world was like afore the Deadwood came? Well, pull up a chair, young'un. The world was filled with people. I'm talking millions, maybe even bazillions. Why, you couldn't sneeze without snotting someone in the face. Now, these folks weren't like us nowadays. They had so much food that they would eat for fun. They'd get together to eat the extra meat. They had spare ribs, called it a barbecue. They were immune to all kinds of diseases. And every one of them, every one, had a puppy. Huh. And the world was run by, let's see here, what was it now? Presidentures, yeah, that's it. On account of the ceremonial wooden teeth. Whole damn world was ruled by the presidentures of the United States, yes, sir. It was a better time then. Folks resolved their differences by coming together, listening to each other's problems and trying to solve them together. Oh, I guess that's what young Bo's trying to do with this place, ain't he? He ain't done half bad so far, neither. I reckon you gotta go through the bad to get to the good again. It's always there waiting if you just keep on looking. A good tale's like a good stew. You should only need a bowl or two to keep you going a while. Too much, and you'll get sick of it. We'll talk again later, friend. Rest assured. Be sure to come back for some stew.